All right, we are going to start another mediumship literature group. We meet every Monday at 5 p.m. Pacific time. Everybody's welcome to join us. If you want to join us, just contact me through Facebook, through my page Revenant, or my Facebook Revenant.world, and it's free, and you're welcome to join us. We are reading The Gospel According with Spiritism by Allan Kardec, and we always have some discussions, and it's very enriching. So everybody is welcome. We are going to do our initial prayer, and we're going to start reading. Dear God, the spirits of the light, the spiritual guides, thank you for this day and for the opportunity to be here together, reading the Gospel According with Spiritism, and learning from you, from spirits, and from the teachings from Jesus, the precious lessons that help us to grow and to develop ourselves spiritually. Please help us to understand the things we need to learn and to apply this in our daily lives. Thank you very much for your unconditional love. Amen.
Amen.
All right, so who would like to start? We are going to start today where we stopped last week, chapter 24 of the Gospel According with Spiritism. Do not hide your lamp under the bushel. Who would like to read for us?
I can.
Okay, thank you, Darcy.
Do not hide the light under a bushel. The light under a bushel, why Jesus spoke in parables. Do not keep company with the Gentiles. The healthy do not need a doctor. The courage of faith, carry your cross. He who will save his life shall lose it. The light under a bushel, why Jesus spoke in parables. 1. Neither do men light a candle and put it under a bushel, but on a candlestick, and it giveth light unto all that are in the house. Matthew 5:15. 2. No man, when he lighteth a candle, covereth it with a vessel, or putteth it under a bed, but setteth it on a candlestick, that they which that they which enter in may see the light. For nothing is secret that shall not be made manifest, neither anything hid that shall not be known and come abroad. Luke 8:16 and 17. 3. And the disciples came and said unto him, Why speakest thou unto them in parables? He answered and said unto them, Because it is given unto you to know the mysteries of the kingdom of heaven, but to them it is not given. For whosoever hath, to him shall be given, and he shall have more abundance. But whosoever hath not, from him shall be taken away even that he hath. Therefore speak I to them in parables, because they seeing not, and hearing they hear not, but neither do they understand. And in them is fulfilled the prophecy of Isaiah, which saith, By hearing ye shall hear, and shall not understand, and seeing ye shall see, but not perceive. For this people's heart is waxed gross, and their eyes are dull of hearing, and their eyes they have closed, lest at any time they should see with their eyes, and hear with their ears, and should understand with their heart, and should be converted, and I should heal them. Matthew 13:10-15. 4. It appears strange to hear Jesus say that the light shall not be covered up, when he constantly hid the meaning of his words under the veil of allegories, which are not understood by everyone. However, he explains this when he says to his disciples, I speak to them in parables, because they are not ready to understand certain things. They see, they listen, but do not understand. So it would have been useless to have told them everything at this time. Nevertheless, I have told you, because it has been given to you to understand these mysteries. So he treated the people as you would children, whose ideas have not yet developed. Okay. In this manner, we came to comprehend the real meaning of the words, neither do men light a candle and put it under a bushel, but on a candlestick, and it giveth light unto all that are in the house. This sentence does not mean that we should reveal all things without due consideration as to the convenience of this revelation. All teaching should be proportional according to the intelligence of those to be taught, because there are certain people for whom a brilliant light would only blind without enlightening them in any way. The same thing happens to mankind in general as can happen to an individual. The generations have their infancy, their youth, and their maturity. Each thing must come to the right moment. The seed, when sown out of season, will not germinate, but what prudence holds back momentarily, sooner or later will be discovered when the corrective degree of development has been reached. Man seeks for himself the living light as he feels obscurity weighing upon him. God, having given him intelligence to understand and be guided amongst the things of the earth and of the heaven, man then seeks to rationalize his faith. It is at this point that he must not put the candle under the bushel, seeing that without the light of reason, faith becomes weak. See chapter 19, item 7. 5. If providence then, in its wise precaution, only reveals the truth gradually, it is obvious that these truths are disclosed in proportion as humanity shows itself sufficiently mature to receive them. Providence holds them in reserve and not under a bushel. However, as man enters into possession of them, he almost always hides them from the masses, with the intention of dominating the people. These are the ones who truly place the light under a bushel. That is why every religion has its mysteries whose examination is prohibited. But as these religions began to become outdated, so science and intelligence have advanced and broken through the veil of mystery. Having become adult, the masses could then penetrate to the bottom of these matters and so remove from their faith that which was contrary to their observations. Absolute mysteries cannot exist, and Jesus was right when he said that there was no secret that would not come to be known. Everything which is hidden will be discovered one day, and what man still does not comprehend will be revealed in succession, in more advanced worlds when he reaches purification. Here on earth, man still finds himself as in a thick fog. 6. We ask ourselves what advantage can be gained from the multitude of parables whose meaning remains impenetrable. It must be noted that Jesus only expressed himself in parables in areas which were rather abstract in the doctrine, but having declared charity to one's neighbor and humility as the basic conditions for salvation, everything he said in this respect is completely clear, explicit, and without any ambiguities. This is as it should be, this being a rule of conduct, a rule that everyone had to comprehend in order to be able to observe it. This was the essential point for the ignorant masses to whom he said only, "This is what you need to do in order to reach heaven." On other matters, he only disclosed his thoughts to his disciples. This was because they were more advanced both morally and intellectually, so that Jesus could initiate them in the knowledge of more abstract truths. This is why he also said, "To those who already have, even more shall be given." Chapter 18, item 15. Nevertheless, even with the apostles, he was not precise on many points, the complete understanding in these areas being reserved for later times. It was these parts which caused so many diverse interpretations until science on the one hand and Spiritism on the other revealed the new laws of nature, so making the real meaning perceptible. 7. Today, Spiritism projects its light over an immense number of obscure points, but it does not do this without due consideration. When the spirits gave their teachings, they conduct themselves with admirable prudence. They consider gradually, one by one, the various known parts of the doctrine, leaving the other parts to be revealed only when it will be opportune to bring them forth from obscurity. If they had presented the complete doctrine right from the first moment, fewer people would have shown themselves disposed to accept it, and those who were not prepared would have become frightened by it, so that the dissemination would have suffered as a consequence. So then, if the spirits have still not told everything outright, it is not because there are mysteries within the doctrine, which only the privileged few may penetrate, nor is it because they have hidden the candle under the bushel, but because each piece of knowledge must come at the most opportune moment. They give time for each idea to mature and spread before presenting another, and for events to prepare the way for the acceptance of new ideas.
Any comments or questions up to this point?
That makes sense to me. That's something I want to say. I mean, there's no point to know everything right away. It will not work.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's what I understand.
That makes sense, yeah.
Good. So what like how they could understand energy and all those things we know now through science, and that we apply to religion, to spirituality at that time, right? They didn't know anything about energy. Like energy, what is that? Something abstract. They have no idea. They had no idea what afterlife would be. Was a mystery. And like what the concept of God was based on their capacity of understanding. So it was a projection of what they could understand. Was a person, like they would understand that God is a person that lives somewhere else and is angry and punitive, and they didn't understand this whole concept of the wholeness, this whole thing that science helps us to understand nowadays, that through quantum physics, that everything's part of each other, everything is interrelated, and God is in behind all those things, because is an inseparable wholeness, not only the humanity but the whole planet and the whole universe. So it's something that even nowadays some people cannot understand, right? It requires a very abstract kind of mindset to be able to understand this kind of concept, and let alone at Jesus' time, like 2,000 or almost 3,000 years ago. So but there are some things that they could understand, like love each other, respect each other, to be good, do good deeds. So those are the basics, actually, of the spiritual growth and spiritual life. If we understand that, if we follow that, somehow is enough. But then whatever we don't understand, people, let's not complicate. If they don't understand, like just, Jesus told them in parables, and some people still to this day cannot really understand what he has been revealed through Spiritism to this day. Okay, so David, everything's good too for you? So,
yeah, I understand. Yeah.
Okay.
I've heard this argument before, and it's good that it comes up. It's actually explained better here than I've heard before.
Yeah, we saw that in previous chapters, right? Yeah. And it's really good. Okay, awesome. So let's continue.
You want me to keep going?
It's up to you, unless David would like to take over.
No, Dart.
Well, I would, but my English is not good, so I'm just gonna be terrible.
It can't be any worse than mine, Francis.
Yeah, or mine.
Oh my God, I can do a page, but that's it. I swear you guys gonna be bored.
No,
Okay, where are we now?
do not keep company with the Gentiles.
Okay. These 12 Jesus sent forth and commanded them, saying, Go not into the way of the I don't know how to say that, Gentiles,
Mhm.
and into any city of the Samaritan enter ye not, but go rather to the lost sheep of the house of Israel. And as ye go, preach, saying, The kingdom of heaven is at hand. Matthew 10:5-7. Number 9. On many occasions, Jesus showed us that his vision was not confined to the Jewish people alone, but rather embraced all humanity. Moreover, if he told his apostle not to go to the pagans, it was not that he disdained conversing with them, which would not have been at all charitable. Rather, it was that the Jews who already believed in one God and were waiting for Messiah were already prepared through the laws of Moses and the prophets to accept his word. With the pagans, where even the base was lacking, there will have been everything to do, and the apostles were not yet sufficiently enlightened for so difficult a task. This is why he said to them, Go rather to the lost sheep of Israel. That is to say, go and sow in lands that are already cleared. Jesus knew that the conversation of the Gentiles would happen at a later date. Indeed, later on, the apostles did go to plant a cross in the very heart of paganism. I'll keep going. Chapter number 24, number 10. These words can also be applied to the adept and disseminators of Spiritism, the systematically incredulous, the obstinate mockers, and the profit-seeking adversaries are today what the Gentiles were to do to the apostles. So follow their example. Go first to make converts amongst those of goodwill, those who desire enlightenment, where a fertile seed may be found and where there are many, without wasting time with those who do not want to see or hear, where they resist all the more out of pride, the greater the importance that is put upon their conversation. It is better to open the eyes of 100 blind people who wish to see clearly than of only one person who takes pleasure in the darkness. Because by proceeding in this manner, it is possible to increase in greater numbers those who will uphold the cause. Leaving some people undisturbed is not a case of showing indifference, but simply good sense. The time will come when they will have been persuaded by public opinion and by hearing the same information being constantly repeated all around them. Then they will think they have accepted the idea voluntarily by their own impulse and not under pressure from others. In addition, there are ideas which are like seeds that cannot germinate out of season, nor in land that has not been previously prepared. So it is better to wait for the right time and cultivate those that are the first to germinate, in order that the later germinating ones do not abort by virtue or of too intensive a cultivation. At the time of Jesus, as a consequence of the narrow-minded and materialistic ideas in vogue, everything was localized and circumscribed. The house of Israel was but a small nation, the Gentiles being other small nations around them. Today, the idea have been universalized and spiritualized. The new light in the privilege of no one nation. No barriers exist for it. The focus point is in all places, and all men are brothers. The Gentiles are no longer a nation. They are only an opinion which is accepted in all places, and over which truth will triumph little by little, just as Christianity triumphed over paganism. These opinions are no longer combated with weapons of war, but with the force of ideas. That's it.
Any question or comments?
I'm a little lost.
Because of me?
No. Why are they not supposed to speak to the Gentiles, though?
This was the behavior and the beliefs of the Jews.
Oh, this is from the Jewish perspective.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
So because they were the chosen people, and they consider everybody else that didn't follow the ideas of Judaism inferior people. So the Gentiles were everyone who were not monotheists, that didn't believe in a God the same way that the Jewish people believed. So, and the Jesus, he did the opposite. Throughout his ministry, he spoken with Samaritans. Samaritans was considered one of the most like under how can I say, the less noble kind of people for the Jewish, and they spoke greatly about them. They spoke to them. He helped them, and he spoke with them as anybody else. And just to set the example that we should not discriminate. Nobody's better than anyone. And God loves everyone. Everybody is as kids of God, children of God, and that's what he came to teach. So, so I don't know if that is clear.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, they speak about some details as well. But the core of this sector and the idea that Jesus brought is that. So is the universality of spirituality, and universality of God's love, and the absolutely no difference between anyone, any people, based on traditions, based on anything. Okay, so who would like to continue? The healthy do not need a doctor.
I'll go.
Thank you.
The healthy do not need a doctor. 11. And it came to pass, as Jesus sat at dinner in the house, behold, many publicans and sinners came and sat down with him and his disciples. And when the Pharisees saw it, they said to his disciples, why does your master eat with publicans and sinners? But when Jesus heard that, he said to them, they that be whole need not a physician, but they that are sick. 12. Oh, Matthew 9, 10 to 12. Number 12. Jesus addressed himself most especially to those who were poor and deprived, as they had the greatest need for consolation, and also the blind who were humble and of good faith, because they asked him to enlighten them. He did not address himself to those who were proud or who believed that they had all the knowledge they needed and wished for no more. See the introduction, items entitled Publicans and the Tax Collectors. These words and many others find their most fitting application within Spiritism. They are those who are sometimes surprised that mediumship is given to people who of little worth and capable of its misuse. They say that it seems that such a precious facility or faculty should be given exclusively to those who are most deserving of it. Before anything else, let us say that mediumship stems from a certain organic predisposition, and therefore anyone may be gifted with this ability in the same way that they are gifted to see, hear, and speak. Moreover, there is nothing that people cannot abuse. There is nothing that people cannot abuse by means of their free will. If God had only conceded speech, for example, to those incapable of speaking ill, then there would be more dumb people than those able to speak. God has given human beings various faculties together with the liberty to use them. However, he also punishes those who abuse them. If the possibility of communicating with spirit had only been given to the most worthy, who would dare to make such a claim? Furthermore, where is a boundary between worthiness and unworthiness? Mediumship is conferred without distinction so that the spirits can bring enlightenment to all walks of life, to all classes of people, to rich and poor alike, to those who are honest so that they may be fortified in their goodness, and also to the corrupt so that they may be corrected. Are these not the sick who need a doctor? Why then would God, who does not wish for the death of sinners, deprive them of the help that can pull them out of the mire? The good spirits come to their help, and personal advice that is received is of a nature that will impress them in a manner more striking than if it had been received indirectly. God, in his goodness, wishing to spare them the work of having to go out and get help from afar, puts the light straight into their hands. Are they not even more guilty for failing to notice this fact? Can they excuse themselves by claiming ignorance when their own condemnation has been written, seen, heard, and spoken by themselves? If they do not take advantage of this, then they will be punished by means of the loss of preservation of the faculty that was bestowed. In this case, evil spirits will take hold, obsessing and deceiving them. Nevertheless, this will not lessen the receiving of the real afflictions with which God punishes as his unworthy servants, whose hearts are hardened by pride and selfishness. Mediumship does not necessarily imply habitual relations with superior spirits. It is merely an aptitude to serve as an instrument, which may be more or less useful to spirits in general. So then, a good medium is not one who communicates with ease, but one who is agreeable to the good spirits, who is helped only by them. It is solely in this sense that the excellence of moral qualities becomes the all-powerful influence in mediumship. The courage of faith. 13. Whosoever therefore shall confess me before men, him will I confess also before my Father which is in heaven. But whosoever shall deny me before men, him will I also deny before my Father which is in heaven. Matthew 10:32 and 33. 14. For whosoever shall be ashamed of me and of my words, of him shall the Son of Man be ashamed, when he shall come to his own glory, and that of his fathers and of the holy angels. Luke 9:26. 15. To have the courage of one's belief has always been held in great esteem by humankind, because there is merit in facing dangers, persecutions, contradictions, and even simple sarcasm, in which all those who openly proclaim their ideas are almost always exposed, especially when those ideas are not to the general liking. Here, as in everything, the merit is in proportion to the circumstances and the importance of the results. There is always a weakness in drawing back from the consequences entailed by opinions and denying them. However, there are some cases in which this constitutes an act of cowardice as great as the one committed by fleeing from the moment of battle. Jesus denounced this kind of cowardice from the particular point of view of his teachings by saying that if anyone were ashamed of his words, then he too would be ashamed of them. That he would disown the person who would repudiate him and who would only acknowledge before the Father who is in heaven those who publicly acknowledge him. In other words, those who are afraid to confess themselves to be disciples of truth are not worthy to be admitted into the kingdom of heaven. In this way, they will lose the advantages of their faith, because it is a selfish faith that they keep for themselves, hiding it for fear of the prejudice they may come to suffer in the world. Meanwhile, those who put truth above all material interests and openly proclaim it, all working together for their own future and for that of others. 16. This is how it will be for the followers of Spiritism, because the teaching they profess is nothing more than the development and application of the gospel. Christ's words were also directed at them. They plant on earth what will be harvested in the spiritual world, and it is there that they will gather the fruits of their courage and weakness. Let me keep going.
Let's finish. Just have a little another session. Please, thank you.
All right, keep going.
Yes, please.
Carry our cross. He who will save his life shall lose it. 17. Blessed are you when men hate you, when they separate you from their company and reproach you and cast out your name as evil for the Son of Man's sake. Rejoice on that day and leap for joy, for behold, your reward is great in heaven, for in the like manner did their fathers to the prophets. Luke 6:23 and 22 and 23. 18. And when he called the people to him, and with his disciples also, he said to them, whosoever shall come after me, let him deny himself and take up his cross and follow me. For whosoever shall save his life shall lose it, but whoever shall lose his life for my sake and the gospel's, the same shall save it. For what shall it profit a man if he shall gain the whole world and lose his own soul? Mark 8:34, also Luke 9:23 to 25, and Matthew 10:39, and John 12:24 and 25. 19. Jesus said, "Rejoice when people hate and persecute you for my sake, seeing that you will be rewarded in heaven. These words shall be understood in the following manner. Consider yourself blessed when there are fellow beings who, by their ill will towards you, give you opportunity to prove the sincerity of your faith, seeing that the evil they do to you will only result in your benefit. Lament their blindness and do not curse them." Then he said, "Take up your cross, all those who wish to follow me," by which he meant that you must courageously support the trials and tribulations that your faith may bring about. Whereas any person who wishes to save their life and their property by renouncing Christ lose all the advantages of heaven, while those who lose everything in this world, even their life for the sake of truth, these will receive a prize for courage, perseverance, and abnegation in the future life. Meanwhile, to those who have sacrificed the heavenly benefits for earthly pleasures, God will say, "You have already received your recompense."
Any questions or comments?
No?
So those last sectors, the courage of faith, bear your cross, whenever wants to save his life will lose it, is pretty much, it's a little misunderstood by Christians, because this was like Jesus' teachings, right? So Christians are the ones who know and and follow those things. And for most people, for most Christians, what ended up happening is that they understand this as okay, I belong to this religion, and if I'm persecuted, if I'm not understood, or I'm bullied, I just need to stick to it because I should not be ashamed of professing my faith. What they don't understand is that it's not about the institution. Most people, they go to church, they like do what they are supposed to do, and this and that, but they don't really understand the essence of it. And the essence of following Jesus is to be truthful with his teachings, which is you need to be loving, right? You need to be to live in love. You need to love your neighbor. You need to not take uh, people's offenses and act with revenge. We should not be unfaithful with our own spirituality, what makes sense to us as spiritual beings, and regardless of what people say. And people just behave as the masses. So what everybody's doing, what everybody's saying, I want to follow, and if that involves Jesus and I'm persecuted, that's fine. This is a blessing to me. But they don't really understand the essence in their own lives. What matters is what we do in our heart. This is like something that Jesus emphasized from the top to bottom, and it comes from much before Christ, and from other religions as well. They also say the same thing. What's important is love, and bringing compassion to the world, bringing peace amongst people, bringing harmony And of course, harmony doesn't mean necessarily we are going to become naive or let people like abuse us or anything like that. No, we can defend ourselves. We can, stand up for the things we believe. We can set limits for people. This is all good. Like we are supposed to be healthy, right? We are supposed to have healthy minds and have healthy spirits. It's not about being a martyr. It's about living with the essence of what we believe is our truth, and living in love, and not uh, creating, excuse me, sorry, not creating problem destructions, but uh, bringing peace and harmony as much as we can, right? Any like this there and also that other sector before, the healthy do not need a doctor. So again, it comes with the previous sector where Jesus were going against that concept that we are not supposed to get dirty with people that are not worthy. The Jewish cannot talk with the Gentiles because they are not saint enough, they are not holy enough, and we cannot contaminate ourselves with them. So it's absolutely the opposite that Jesus set the example, and that's what we are supposed to do. We need to go to help the needy. If people are having a hard time spiritually or financially or socially, that's where we need to be to help them. And especially as mediums, we are supposed to bring healing, right? Through our messages, through the channeling of spirits, that they they can bring healing to the world, to people around us, through us, right? So uh, that's why sometimes when people make comments, I hear a lot, like some medium leaders or medium tutors saying that they kicked out people from their groups, or they don't accept people that has bad energy to their group, because is not supposed to you're not supposed to have bad energy. What is supposed to be? Who is better, who is worse, right? Who's the judge? We all have problems, and some people have different problems than others, but we all have problems, and we're not better than anyone. So uh, is about embracing each other and helping each other, healing each other, and healing the world. Any comments or questions?
A question.
Mm-hmm.
Well, just I know we've been talking about that for the last 2 years, but I feel like it brings me back to that COVID-19 situation. And then I don't want to go too much in detail on that, but I'm just like, every medium has, I feel like, an opinion about it. Like it's hard for me to deny what I think it is, or like, and like maybe Darcy has his own opinion, like, and just, yeah, I don't know. I don't want to debate that with you guys today, but I'm just feeling this something here, and like, but it's just interesting because every medium, like I said, might think opposite of me, but some people said it's natural. That's what the planet heard, that's what they wanted to kind of teach us a lesson. Sometimes other people think that's just like, some like government stuff that they just want to squeeze us down, and so I just want to bring it up. That's all.
Mm-hmm. So what is your understanding? Is
I,
there some spiritual thing behind it?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, it's for sure. It doesn't matter if it's natural cause or some government make it up. It's for sure. It's just like a big spiritual, like I'll call that like a wake up call or something. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
Yeah, one of the things that these pandemics come to teach us, even though this is not the first time we face pandemics in the world, but every time that happens, it comes in layers, right? Like we develop in layers, both individually and collectively. And every time it brings us to the next level of trying, helping us to understand that we are part of a whole, right?
Yeah.
That's the basics, right, of a pandemics. Like people are like, oh, my country is like, my religion is better, my country is better, and it's happening. Like, right, the Africa has paid for their vaccines from the very beginning, and they have not received yet
Wow.
because the other countries are stealing, are cutting the line and taking, before their turn,
Yeah.
taking everything instead of giving to Africa. So, and people do whatever they want. Of course, we have free will, but the main lesson that this brings us is like, good, let's get together and solve this problem together and help each other because we are all in the same boat,
Yeah.
and stop with this nonsense that we live all the time, like discriminating, separations, and racism and
Yeah.
war and all this BS that we live all the time from the beginning of times. It's like, seriously, it's time for us to grow up, right,
Yeah.
as
I agree.
humanity, and also respect nature, because that's the other thing, right? Men play God all the time. I am absolutely pro science, and I'm a scientist myself, and I think that is wonderful that we develop science, we develop our thinking, but we need to be aware that we are not God. We don't know everything. And we need to have boundaries. We need to have respect for nature. We need to understand that certain things we need to be really cautious, because we don't know the consequences of certain things that we do in science. We're going to know in, like, I don't know, 100 years or 1,000 years from now, the true consequences of what we do. And that's what we are experiencing now with nature, global warming, and all this stuff, all this pollution we have created since the industrialization, the industrial revolution, and this explosion of capitalism and all that, without consideration for anything,
Yeah.
any aspect of nature. But
Do you find, have you guys noticed that, I mean, this might be stating the obvious, but it seems like almost in every generation there's like a big group that is going to be discriminated against. Like it's like we can't operate without some kind of
You're right.
division or
That's
discrimination. I mean, you can go all the way back to the Jews and the Gentiles,
yeah.
people that were thought to be witches, which were probably people like us.
Mhm.
um, Racism, it just seems like there's always somebody who has to be on the outside. We're never a big group.
Yeah. And we even see this in families, right? Don't you
Oh yeah.
see, in families, in churches, in companies, corporations, or schools, everywhere we go? It's like so sad
Yeah.
that people have this craving, this need for separation and discrimination. There's always someone that's left out. Why, right? Why we cannot
Mhm.
accept our differences and live in harmony with each other and learn with each other? Differences are good, right?
Yes.
It's
You
precious.
would think.
I know, right? But yeah, we still have a long way to go until we get it as humanities. Imagine if the our guides and God and the angels would think the way we think, right?
That's scary.
That wouldn't be
Yeah.
good.
We'd be in a really bad shape.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
You'd have to be the angels.
I know, right? So, but all good. So, we are going to close for today. It was an excellent group. Next week, we are going to continue on chapter 25. We finished chapter 24 today. So, let's do a final prayer. Dear God, spirits of the light, of spiritual guides, thank you for this day, for this week, and for this wonderful group, for the opportunity to be here together, learning from you, from wisdom from spirits, and in order for us to grow and to develop ourselves as humanity. Please help us to apply this in our daily lives and also help others to become closer to you, to be healed the same way as we are healed every time we read and understand and learn those precious lessons. Please continue with us throughout the week so we can be beams of light everywhere we go. And now we feel that we ask your presence and bringing your healing to us. We feel your healing light, healing every part of our being. And as we receive your healing, we also share with our homes, our families, our pets, our neighbors, going farther and farther, all the way to take our whole planet. We feel this healing light spreading and healing those who are sick everywhere in the world, those who are hungry and thirst, those who are incarcerated, those who don't have shelters, who are homeless, those who are being victims of racism, discrimination, war, violence, or persecution. We share this healing light with those who don't have anyone to pray for them. We share this healing light with our governants everywhere in the world so they can work for the common good. We share this healing light with our Mother Earth, nature, healing the damages we have created as humanity, and helping us all to understand and to practice whatever we need to do to have a harmonious relationship with the nature. Envision our planet being a place of love and compassion, where peace, joy, and love prevails, where we can all live and respect each other, live in harmony, and respect our differences. And now we ask our guides and angels to continue with us throughout the week, helping us in our daily lives, in our missions, helping us to grow and to evolve, and helping us as humanity to evolve. Thank you for your unconditional love. Amen. All right, so everybody that's watching us from home is you're welcome to join us. Contact me through our page Revenant on Facebook, and I can gladly add you to our group, and you can participate here in our live sessions, reading the Gospel according with Spiritism. I'll see you next week at 5 p.m. Pacific time. Bye.